Quest Audiobooks presents an unabridged recording of Death by Night by P.F. Ford, narrated by Andy Cresswell. Prologue. It had been a cold, frosty February night. Now, in the early morning darkness, well before dawn, parts of the little town were beginning to come to life and prepare for the coming day. On the outskirts, away from the town centre, the lights were on in the small supermarket. Nearer the centre, the mouth-watering smell of bread, fresh from the oven, wafted from the open door of the bakery. A little further along, light shone across the pavement from the open door of the newsagent's as the owner grappled the bundles of today's news into the shop. An occasional car stopped outside and disgorged its occupant in search of an early morning newspaper and maybe a pack of cigarettes. In the shadows, a small, tatty-looking old woman flitted from doorway to doorway, a grubby off-white coat tied around her waist with what appeared to be string. She seemed to be looking for something, and as she searched, she muttered quietly to herself, absently running her fingers through her long silver-grey hair, much as a child might do. As she got to the bakery, she hovered in the doorway, peering inside until a kindly woman dressed in white overalls came out, carrying a large brown paper bag. "Morning, Florence," said the woman cheerily, her face glowing red from the heat inside the shop. "How are you today?" The old woman in the grubby coat smiled uncertainly. "Have you seen Dougal?" "Still not found him, then?" The lady from the bakery smiled kindly back at her, knowing she wouldn't get an answer, but feeling she should ask anyway. She handed the paper bag to the old woman, who looked down at it as if it didn't belong there. Then she hugged it to her chest, as if frightened it was going to be snatched away. She nodded her head in thanks, and as she looked up at her benefactor, a tear slid down her grubby cheek. She was overwhelmed by this act of kindness, even though it happened every time she came into town. "I've done you a loaf of bread, 2 of those pies you like, and a couple of cakes," said the kindly woman. "And there's a hot pasty on top. You should eat it now before it gets cold. Would you like to come in? I can make you a cup of tea to go with it." The old woman shook her head and backed away. She wasn't being ungrateful. She just couldn't risk going inside, no matter how kindly the lady in the shop might be. She gave another uncertain
Sample complete. Ready to continue?